What's going on, guys? I am on the road, and I just thought about something that I think I should address. Sorry about that. Let me go ahead and roll these windows up. Should fighting video games, should they actually have a storyline? Now, I was just thinking about Mortal Kombat, the 2011 one. Then I thought about the Injustice, Gods Among Us, and the Mortal Kombat X. And I was thinking, I said they managed to tell a pretty compelling story while also implementing great, fighting mechanics and the reasons for the characters to fight and stuff like that. So I'm like, why can't we do that with all games? One of the reasons a lot of fighting video games do seem to go dull after a while, or people don't seem to take advantage of the full roster of characters, is due to the fact that there's a lack of a story or a reason to actually play with the characters. And I think that those games did a great job of actually giving a reason for players to even try new characters. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm just thinking about the Marvel vs. Capcom 3. That was one reason I didn't like the game, because of the whole and another thing about that is, which is going to tie into this too, is the fact that when it came to the game, like the lack of story, the lack of a story messed that up. And then it felt like, because of that lack of a story, it didn't seem like there was any effort put into the video game. So that's just one thing I wanted to bring up about that. Soul Calibur 3 is one of my favorite fighting video games at all time, but the story is stupid. It don't make any sense. There's nothing compelling about it. They say this, they say that, but it's not like you're actually on a journey with these characters. They don't give you a decent reason as to who to play with these characters. But anyways, I'm about to go ahead and go get my car washed, and then when I get done, I'm gonna go ahead and continue this video. Anyway, sorry about that. I wanted to go ahead and continue on with what I was saying about, fighting video games actually having a more interactive campaign and not just a little arcade mode. That was one of the reasons I did not like Marvel vs. Capcom 3. There was like no story. I mean, how you gonna have a title that says the fate of two worlds, but don't explain why these two worlds came together? I think that would have been for a very interesting and compelling story. And then to just sit here and do like the Mortal Kombat Injustice, actually have it to where you go from different character perspectives, because they have plenty of characters, and even utilize the whole team thing. They could have implemented that into the campaign too, so that way we can learn how to not only play with certain characters, but also to build an effective team. So I think that was one of the reasons that I did not like the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 again. Like Soul Calibur, it does have a story, but not really an engaging one. Like something I can get behind. Like I'm sitting here playing, I played Soul Calibur, and it's one of my favorite video game series, but I could not tell you what the hell the story was. Like in each game, I can't tell you what the hell the story was. All you know is, people have there are various reasons and motivations for trying to get, Soul Edge, or trying to destroy Soul Edge, or trying to harness Soul Edge, But there's nothing definitive I can sit there and just tell you, like, what happened. So I think that's kind of a problem with a lot of fighting games too. They have a story, but it isn't really a compelling one. Of course, you got, games like Blast Blue. That does kind of, they have that. They do tell a story, but it's not like an interactive story like that for like all the characters. Sure, you might be following one character, but it's not like you tell one big story and you get in each character's perspective of that story, while allowing you to utilize them in the fights. So NetherRealm Studios, y'all did a great job with that. Y'all are the prime example of actually being a bit more creative. Just think about it. Look how far Mortal Kombat has came. Almost all the other games, like most of the first games, it was just campaign, and you had to fight through the tower. That was pretty much it. And then here we go now, they actually started implementing a decent story. But then, we have the 2011 edition, Injustice Gods Among Us, Mortal Kombat X, that actually told a story. You got to play with all of the characters, saw the story from their perspective, and that, in my eyes, definitely deserves a plus. That was a really great and really creative idea. So there is that. I would love to see it with like Smash Brothers. I mean, they had the adventure mode, but I would love to have just like a decent and yeah, that an adventure mode in Brawl was like the best. I mean, it did tell a story, somewhat. It did tell somewhat of a story, but I give it kudos for trying. You know, it did tell somewhat of a story. But I think that's just my thoughts. When we have fighting video games, I want to see stories. I want to see, character interactions. Give me a reason to fight with these characters. Give me a reason to know and learn, about these characters. Don't just sit here and have like a little arcade thing where you fight like 10 matches and that's it. I think by this time now, what we have in the gaming community, there should be no fighting game that's like that anymore. There should be none. I got my Naruto Ultimate Ninja series, the Ultimate Ninja Storm series. I got Dragon Ball Z, the Budokai series, and like those, they tell stories. I would love for them to make up like a new story, so that way you can actually you have a reason to play with all the characters, because most of the time they're based off the show. Do like a movie or something. Have it to where a story does pop up. Allow people to just get to know the characters by playing through the story, because you're forcing them to play with the characters, and that's like a great way of fleshing out characters. Come on, guys, admit it. There have been plenty of fighting games where there was like 3 or 4 players. No, it's like half the characters you don't play with. You don't have a reason to play with them. You don't like playing with them. Even in Dead or Alive a little bit. Dead or Alive, I think, did it too. Where they kind of forced you to play with certain characters. I think. But ever since I had the Dead or Alive 5, and then they locked me out of my own damn game, which did piss me off. Well, that's neither here nor there. I'm just starting to ramble. Anyway, guys, in the comment section below, let me know what you think about that whole idea. Should fighting games be implemented with an interactive story to where you do see the characters and you are forced to play with the characters, but it also allows you to get to know the characters and their perspectives while being engaged in a pretty cool and compelling story. And also, I think the fact that they did put a story, and such an interactive story, into a fighting video game now, that it actually means that they're putting forth some damn effort instead of regurgitating the same thing. I like Street Fighter, and I haven't played any of the recent ones except I think 4 a while back, and I don't think they have a story like that. I think it's kind of like a campaign, arcade like tower campaign thing. So I would say that to them too, if they're still doing that. Create a story, give us like 20 characters throughout the story to play with, and just that's how you make it engaging. But anyways, NarikChase, signing out.